This town's been unbearable, lifeless, filled only with boredom, propaganda, and control. I've tried to escape, and I've failed this time. But I'll find a way. They call me Mr. Prepper. Hey.
That is going to work. And looks like the YouTubes are on. You are getting sound and sound and sound and sound. I'm going to turn that desktop sound off right there. Perfect. Good morning, eccentric Nana. I'm going to make my stuff bigger on the screen. Iron Bug. Looks like everybody's pretty much checking in here. I love it, guys. We got the likes up. We got plenty of people popping in here. Perfect. Looks like the mic is working. Let's go ahead and say good morning to my YouTube family. It's obviously a slow Monday. We got old Douglas, Lindsay, Deanna, Thomas, Connie, Allison, and Janice. And I'm sure they're all going to check on little by little by little by little. Dino Nana, good morning. What do we got here? Fungus, good morning, Fungus. Hopefully you were able to separate yourself from some of that currency over the weekend. Let's see here. Do you think... Well, Cowboys and Commies is right out the door with a question. Since the 1950s, we're all about nuclear control. Do you think the 2000s are about food control? Yeah, possibly. Possibly. Connie Lomax Mensch. Hey, Connie, good morning. Where are we at? Stacky Girl, good morning. Jeff, no thanks. Hey, good to see you, Jeff. Deanna, good morning. Fungus, yes. Blaine popped in. We got... Wist's World. I'm supposed to know what that is for some reason, and I can't say that I do. Remind me why I'm supposed to know that. Yeah, I think that what's happening in the world goes beyond food control. I think that that's just a small piece of the puzzle, Fungus. Oh yes, as in yes, you sold some stuff. Good for you, man. I love to see that crap. Just don't get rid of all the gold and silver stuff. If you guys didn't know it, Fungus is actually he has a lot of different types of currencies that he is willing to sell. Let's see here. I'm going to pour some coffee. I got the magical coffee mug out today. And we're going to pour some of that in there. I literally just scarfed down a giant omelet because I was a little short for time because we had a storm roll through here last night and it destroyed one of my overheads. I'm not exactly sure why. I don't remember it ever being that crazy. But yeah, that's what it did. So I literally had to go like drag it off into a corner someplace so I can see if I could possibly repurpose some of the metal, the tarp part maybe, but it's got big holes in it. It's really bad, you know. Do you think Victory Guards went viral with 10% of it being medicine could make a difference? Honestly, Cowboy, I don't think Victory Gardens are going to go viral. I think the only people paying attention to victory gardens are people that need gardens, that need food. Hey, good morning, JDM. I was supposed to email you about coastal Virginia, but couldn't find the video to go back to it. Well, okay, I got you, Will's World. Yeah, just go to localprepper.net and hit the contact button or in the menu. It's like those little lines up in the top right-hand corner. We're at good Monday morning, April sister. Good morning to you, too. The things they don't realize is the people creating the food turn on the... Yeah, that's true. That's true. But, everybody kind of lives in fear. They're running around living in fear, and they're always knee-jerk, and they never plan for anything. Looks like WV Pappy is in two places simultaneously. Very cool. Melody, good morning. We could convince the extreme left can't shut the world off and on without someone starving. I think they've kind of figured that out. I don't think they care. Do you stream on Friday? I do stream on Friday for 1 hour from 10 to 11. I see Harbor Freight sells Jackeries. Harbor Freight has been selling a lot of Jackeries, but I've also noticed that they're without the solar panels. But they're not. So it's nice that they sell those things, but they're not any less expensive than if you bought them right from Jackery or Amazon. They're all the same prices. Inflation is a cover-up because people want to make more money, so they give 10% raises their prices. I don't know about that, David. I think that you have to look at the economy a little deeper than that. What we got here? Bitches be tripping. Good morning to you, young lady. All right, let's see. I may have to take this off. I might have to open let me open something. Let me open some screens and let some crosshair through here because it's kind of warm. Like I said, that storm rolled through here, and it pretty much brought all the warm air with it. And David, whoa, you obviously don't work in retail and pay attention. Well, let's get the first part right out there. No, I don't work in retail. Yeah, as far as paying attention, you might be wrong. You might want to take a step back and reevaluate your statements before you make them. What's the deal with the Alaskan crab issue? Whoa, yeah, I noticed that. Hey, good morning, Chris Leroy. I noticed that the other day, and what it comes down to is there's a short. They can't find them. They can't find them. Let's see here. Dad Life. Good morning, bro. Good morning from North Carolina, Jordan. Good to see you. Good to see you. Did I hear right? We're sending aid to Honduras. Honestly, I haven't heard anything about that, but it would not surprise me. It would not surprise me. Let's see here. What do we got going on here? Fungus. 14067. They're coming to get my stuff. They're coming to get my stuff. They're going to come get everything. You can't have my pen. You can't have my nail clippers. You can't have the garlic that I bought. You can't have my toothpick. They don't care about your shit. Go worry about something else, Fungus. I love you, man, but worry about something else. The government counts crabs like they count the homeless, I guess. Wow, we've really got it. Things are kind of on fire here already this morning. How do we turn our knowledge of events and the time into a business profit? How do we turn our knowledge of events and the time into a business profit? Insignia. Well, first thing we do is we learn about the 3 levels of listening. Okay, I think they're pretty important. But since you just learned one of your first senses about adult learning, which is that 76% of us adults learn through visual and textual context. And since I had to change your screen for trying to promote your shit, you got to go. And because you were like, you dug pretty deep, man. I'm sure I'll get an email from you later telling me how bad I am. But yeah, the trolls are on early today. guys. I'll be telling you that right now. The trolls are on early, and that's okay because we'll just change their screens. JDM says, I just need to say my brother was 3 years younger than me. Now he's 23 years than me. It happens, man. It happens. Let's see here. America is an experiment in hyper-individual. Why would you say that, Disaster Girl Magic? I would like to hear more about your position on America is an experiment. Okay. So who's conducting this experiment? Who is this overlord in control of our American lives? And hyper-individualism. That would denote that you believe that there's like a collective hive mind that should be in control of other people. So please give me a couple more data points there. I'd love to have a conversation with you about it. Where are we at here? Solar panel landscaping company with government loans or grants. There you go. Let's see. The trolls are up bright and early this morning. Yeah, hey, some of them are. Some of them are asking legitimate questions. Some of them are asking questions that, even though I can pretty much tell that they're trolls, but they still carry weight in the conversation. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, everybody gets a fair shake. I can't discount anybody, even if they're saying incredibly dumb things. Oh, let's see here. Dog and Ball showed up. Good morning, young lady. Pew pew on my Freemasons. Good to go, Bulldozer. Yep. Ring knocker. All right, let's see here. Let's go ahead and get in it. Let's go ahead and we're going to go and adjust this screen right here. American Honey, good morning. I'm a troll leaking in the world. All right. So stand to your bridge or I'll show you the daylight. Globe spun zombies are the problem. An experiment doesn't need anything but an observer. No, there has to be purpose and function. You know, it's called the scientific method, which is the purpose of all experiments. It's locked in. You really need to pay more attention. Hive mind not included. That's good. Wild, not world. Okay, let me refresh. Let's see what we're at here. I'm a troll leaking in the wild. Got you. I'm well aware of the scientific method. I got you. I see. That's okay. And since are you aware of the argumentative method? It's where someone just wants to argue and be heard, but they don't understand how rude they're being, so we have to change their screens. Email me later if you want to talk. I'll be happy to have a conversation with you in an adult format. Let's see. Cindy Coast, okay, positive note. I received my mask yesterday. Quick delivery. Nice. That's pretty good. Which means I should get mine today or tomorrow. Cha-cha. Because I think you ordered yours before I ordered mine. I remember that. Viking Queen showed up. Good morning, young lady. Hopefully your weekend was super duper. Which mask? I'm not sure which one she ordered. If it's the one that I recommended, it's actually on. If you go to the link in my bio, if you just go push that little white thing up there, it'll take you to my profile. You click the link, it'll take you to my website. Go to Trusted Products, and it's right on the top. It'll take you right there. It's like click, 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 click. You go there. I'm sorry it has to be so detailed. I wish TikTok would let us do more, but that's just the way they roll. So. It's a protective mask. Let's see. Miss Melody showed up. Good morning, young lady. Hopefully your day is going super duper. Let's see. Any really strange apocalypse prep ideas, like lifting your brick driveway to cover the windows? No, I've never heard of that. I literally had to visualize that. Like I said, adults actually visualize things. So I think hey, correct me if I'm wrong. Please do, because I don't care if you're even trolling me because you got my brain rolling. So if you have a brick driveway and you needed to protect your windows, you could literally like pick your bricks up and stack them. Well, I would probably use concrete, but some mortar concrete, and stack. He's talking about stacking them, or she. I'm not sure yet. In the window sills to basically brick up your window sills. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna go troll on your cool. I'll stay under my bridge. Well, if you stand your bridge and listen, we're good, But if you come out on the dark side and you turn into an adult, and yeah, let's do that. Is that what you were talking about as far as the bricks on the windows? Because I think that's an awesome idea. But I think it's a little. It's kind of a. I don't know if it's a waste of time or not. I don't know. I mean, I would just probably go to Lowe's and just buy a bunch of bricks before I did that. You know what I'm saying? And even then, now you got to do it like right now. I don't know if you guys have watched. So I try to get in an hour of, basically MSNBC, which is AKA Orange Man Bad. That's really all it is. Yeah, Leslie, you see what I'm saying? It's like that's just repurpose those bricks. But anyway, I was watching my hour's worth of Orange Man Bad this morning, and one of the things that they started talking about, and one of the reasons I watch them is to, one, gain a perspective, and two, possibly gain a foot forward, not necessarily advantage, but a foot forward, because they love to project. I don't know why. They'd be like the worst battle tacticians ever, and they love to project what their next move is. And what they were talking about is how the U.S. This was the quote: the U.S. is struggling to prepare for war with China. And it's like, well, what the hell happened this weekend? What the frick did I miss? What did I miss? It's crazy, But that was their little 15-minute segment today, and they brought in all the experts, the generals this and former CIA that, and to beef up their position. But it's like, I haven't heard any news about any of that. You know what I'm saying? Has anybody heard anything else about the whole Taiwan thing? I mean, in over this weekend, any significant news about Taiwan this weekend? Do you think flipping a construction dumpster on your SUV could, I'm going to guess, go be, I'm not sure, mayor in a pinch? I mean, it would protect it from a lot of things, but I mean, you've really got to look at it. So I guess we're talking about, nuclear war. All right. I mean, unless you're in the blast zone, you really don't have a lot to worry about as far as destructive effects. If you're in the buffer zone, then you might have some effects, but that's kind of weird. And it's mostly fallout, in which you wouldn't need to put a dumpster. You could protect yourself from fallout with a good mask and a tarp. You know what I'm saying? This is literally not rocket science. It's literally not difficult. Let's see here. I need to keep people scared about something. Yeah, Reese's, I think that they do that. Comments, how you going to get it? Could you make the dumpster a form of bunker? Now my ADD is kicking in. I mean, technically you could. I mean, most dumpsters have a freaking door on them. If you just go with, they do them by yard. So I'm going to go with the ones that you normally see, just to get my brain going. You normally see like someone's paid, it's like on the side of a business or something. The truck comes in, dumps it. Well, most of those have sliding metal doors on the side. Okay. And then, I mean, the tops are normally just plastics. They used to be metal, but now they're plastic. So if you flipped one of those over, and then you just buried it all the way around just to give yourself another layer of protection, but the doors were there. I mean, you could easily create like an access tunnel or access throughway to the doors. You know what I'm saying? And then now you have a bunker. Now the only thing you got to worry about, and here's the serious problem, ventilation. You're going to have a ventilation problem. You're going to have a moisture problem. You're going to have all sorts of problems. So it's probably not the best idea for longevity. So how much do you know which zone? Let's see here. How much do you know? How much do I know about what? I I've had a lot of different careers. So, yeah. What about the gamma rays? Once again, it's all about your the distance inside or outside of the buffer. Most of the gamma radiation it happens inside of the burst zone or inside of the actual impact zone. Good morning, Travage. And if you're there, then you're toast anyway. You've just been cooked. You've just, for lack of better words, been super microwaved, and you will eventually die anyway. From the, basically, if you didn't know, this radiation actually, like, tears your DNA apart at the atomic level. Let's see here. Morning, Texas here. Yes, how to cover windows, sandbag, dark contractor bags, bubble wrap, fix the first X, the window with postal tape, cover with thick black over frames, electrical outlets. He's talking about closing your house up. Those are all viable options for closing your house up. Lindsay says, leader of China came out to say they have Hong Kong and Taiwan is next. Saber rattling. They like to talk. See, they sense weakness because of what's happening with our current administration. So they're just going to keep pushing until somebody tells them, hey, back off, bro. Let's see here. Let's see. I ordered iodine last week. It's good to have. Just remember, only take it if you need it. Don't take it any longer than you don't need it. Let's see. Are all drones shielded from a microwave with aluminum traffic cone method? I think you're grasping at straws here, cowboys and commies. And I've seen your name before, so you haven't really set off any red star clusters yet. There are no flags yet on your profile, but you're walking a fine line. I don't know if this is a language issue or if you're just reaching. Let's see here. What do we got here? Deborah. So I will tell him back off all y'all countries. Good job, Deborah. What's the iodine dose protocol? It isn't on the bottle. If you bought it in a bottle, you probably didn't buy the right kind of iodine. And I can't give you that advice because that's medical advice. I would look it up on the internet, and you would look at your dosage by the milligrams of whatever the chemical that is in your supposed iodine tablets. Loose bubble wraps on window for cold. Yeah, a lot of people are doing that, Ironbug. I know people actually will put foam in their window during the summertime. But as far as cold, yeah, I've heard bubble wrap. It actually does pretty good, and then it also lets the the sunlight through. So let's see here. I'm gonna pour some more coffee, and then we're gonna change the screen and kind of move on because you guys are going. This is a Monday, man. We're not supposed to be moving this fast. We're not supposed to be moving this fast. June, once again, I cannot give you a. You're asking me to give you medical advice, and I won't do that because it's against the law. Look it up online. I'm sorry, but that's just how it's going to be. All right, let's see here. Let's go ahead and I tinfoil my windows during summer. It makes a 10-degree difference easily. Yes, Navy Dad, it actually does. Just be aware that pretty much cops believe that is what crack houses look like. Not joking. All right, we're going to change this screen here because I'm getting tired of blah, 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 blah. It's been one of those mornings, guys. Black Wolf Survival. Good morning. Good morning. All right, so I got this up right here. This is off of Morning Brew. Xi Jinping asserts power as White House hits China's chip industry. If you guys didn't know this, one of the big things that they actually did, Google can be a friend. Well, you may remember back where the administration basically said we're going to start going after. We need to start producing our own chips. Well, they did a couple. They did a couple of different things other than just saying we're going to take back our own industry. They put a couple of things into executive orders and into laws that were actually pretty interesting. And as usual, I will cut down to this to the quick for you. The reality is that they actually wrote it into one of the regulations that no American citizen can do any work with any China chip company. They can't work for them. They can't work with them. They can't even do it on American soil. And this is going to cause some serious damage to the Chinese technical chip industry. Excuse me, that omelet's coming back. But it's kind of a death blow for the Chinese, because what happened was a lot of people from Silicon Valley went on over to China and said, "Oh, we'd love for you to give us money, and we'll love to help you guys out and teach you how all this stuff is done." Yeah, well, apparently they didn't do very well, and I got to 35 last night. I still haven't turned the heater on. Oh, dog and ball, you're the shit. Let's see. We all need a garden or to get ready for the zombies. I don't know about zombies, cowboy. I don't know about zombies. Let's see. But yeah, so that's going to force the all American chips to be made in America. It's a very quiet part of the deal. It's a very quiet part of the regulation, and it basically says, yeah, chips, semiconductors. No American can work on them in these companies, regardless if they're American companies in China. And this is a serious problem because this talks to human talent. For instance, dozens of Americans hold leadership positions at Chinese chip makers. The Wall Street Journal found that at least 43 senior executives at public Chinese chip companies, including CEOs, are American citizens, and majority of whom came over after learning the ropes in Silicon Valley. Now companies are scrambling to tell their American employees to stop working on projects that would violate the new U.S. rules. Yeah, that's like a kick in the groin for old Xi Jinping. It's not going to be good for the guy. It's not going to be good, you know. Let's see. I'm going to go ahead and close that, and we're going to fix that. Then we are going to hit this little Benny that one of the Patreons sent me. And matter of fact, I was just talking about him earlier on the TikTok side. And so I did give you the thumbs up and thank you in the chat. If you guys didn't know this, we do have a pretty massive Discord that has multiple channels. Ha ha ha. What in the hell is that in my members chat? The Patreons are summoning me. What is happening? Oh, Rosita Bonita's having trouble getting up. I got you. I mean, that's going to happen. Let me just glance in the general chat. Let's see here. Good morning. That's apparently there's something on TikTok that's worth watching. But we'll do that later because I'm here for you guys this morning. All right, so let's go ahead and push this button right here. And apparently, Borden Dairy Company, one of America's largest milk producers, files for bankruptcy, making the second to do so in several months. What this all comes down to, guys, is not a shortage of milk. It's not a shortage of cows. It is the price of milk. Yeah. Have you guys noticed how expensive milk is? They've had to push that cost onto their customers. And now the customers are like, maybe I won't buy this today. Maybe my son does not need to chug half a gallon of milk every afternoon when he comes home from school. Maybe it's not essential for him to do his homework. So yeah, we're not going to do that anymore. So basically they filed for Chapter 11. And what's funny though is it's kind of funny because their Borden currently employs 3,300 people. Sarcasm said in the statement that he said they're extremely confident and optimistic about their continued success in the future. Yeah, because it's a business, which means they ran up debt trying to keep their business open because nobody was buying their milk. That's what was happening. What products have milk in them? 18-year-old boys. That's what you know. Come on, man. Let's beer money. Get your let's get your questions a little better formatted maybe. What products have milk in them? You silly Billy. Oh, the members chat is active again. If you are not in the Discord, then you don't know what trolling has officially begun, Miss Melody says. That's hilarious. Of course you were being sarcastic, but you wrote a perfect statement, so I had to categorize you as somebody who knew exactly what they were talking about. All right, so yeah, just want to let you know about old Borden there doing those different things. And we're going to go ahead and swap that screen so I can do some different stuff. And I think what we're going to do next, guys, and obviously the TikTok guys, I'll give you a heads up right now. Why is there an alarm on my phone? Hold on a second here. Let me make sure I'm not forgetting to do something. Oh, that's just groceries. It's not a big deal. It's just some food stuff that I have to get for no apparent reason. Hey, what's up from them farms? What's good to see you, man. All right, so check it out. If you guys are not on the YouTube, you need to take your butt over to the YouTubes. Go to that little white button up there. Boop, boop. Push that, and go to the link in my bio. Click on that, and that's my own personal webpage. And then I think it's the top one or possibly number 3 down. It's the YouTube channel. Go there. Make sure you join up. Make sure you like. Make sure you subscribe, because this is actually getting simulcasted. It's actually on YouTube right now. And the screen is easier to watch. That is for sure. You can turn your phone sideways, all that trash. And a funny thing, you can actually like watch YouTube at work sometimes, and they block TikTok for some reasons. But what I wanted to do is I've got a video for you queued up, and I want you guys to watch this. Obviously, the YouTube side, I will kill the mic so you don't get any feedback from that. Hey, what's up, Jeff? Good to see you. And let's go ahead and see if this video works here, because I think that you guys are forgetting about the whole oil/gasoline thing, and people are getting a little twisted up. I like to stay focused. I can't do anything about the war in Ukraine. I can't do it. We have no effect on that whatsoever as preppers, okay? And if you think you do and it's something you want to worry about, then you go right ahead, but I'm not going to. I'm going to worry about the things that affect us and try to understand the things that affect us directly. So let's watch this and see what happens.
All right, have no fear, because Harry Potter's here, and I'm here to teach you some spells because we're about to get some expensive petroleum. So here's what's going on. OPEC, which is a group of very powerful oil-producing countries, have said that they're about to cut their oil production by 2 million barrels of oil per day starting in November. Now, this is bad because even though the US is the #1 oil-producing country in the world, it still uses more than what it makes. So here's some context. The world uses roughly 100 million barrels of oil per day. And out of that 100 million, the US makes about 18.8 million per day, but it also uses about 20.5 million per day. And that means there's a daily deficit of roughly 1.7 million barrels. Now, this means the US has to import and buy its oil on the open market, which means it is highly affected by crude oil prices, and that also affects the US government and of course things like the US consumer sentiment, aka the way we feel. And because OPEC is cutting their production costs is why the price of oil is going way up. This is also why President Joe Biden is asking the Department of Energy to give him access to 10 million barrels of oil from what's called the SPR, the Strategic Petroleum Reserves. This is met with a lot of criticism because on one hand, those 10 million barrels will only buy the US roughly 5 to 6 days worth of price stability, and those oil reserves are now at a 40-year low. Now, there's actually two arguments about this. On one hand, the president justifies this by saying it'll give us global price stability, which is especially useful for countries like Ukraine and the energy crisis going on in Europe. On the other hand, the critics argue that we should not be using the reserves for anything other than emergency cases only and not as a tool for political gain, which looks especially bad considering elections are less than a month away. And the argument is, after November 9th, oil prices will go up anyway, so we should not be using precious reserves to try to win elections. So that's the problem in a nutshell, but this story goes a lot deeper. So in today's video, I want to help explain exactly what's going on, how this will affect gas prices, and how this will affect the stock market and investors. So if that sounds interesting, let's get right into it. Hi, my name is Andre Jick. Hope you're doing well. Come for the finance and stay for the story time because this fist bump hits way different now. So the energy crisis has officially started over 100 years ago because the story of oil, or black gold as some people call it, goes all the way back to 1846 when the world started to heavily rely on it. Now, we're not going to go back that far because the real question is who actually gets to control the real price of oil? And the answer to that question, like everything else, is supposed to be supply and demand and the free market. But the truth is, supply and demand within oil is just an illusion. And here's why. The demand for oil is what economists like to call inelastic. And that means the world needs about the same amount of oil every single day and it doesn't really change, which means the real way to control the price of oil is not through demand, but through the supply, more specifically, price stability. And the way to get price stability is through something called spare production capacity, which is a measure of how fast an oil producer can ramp up or slow down excess oil production in 30 days. Because it's the country that can make more than it needs that gets to stabilize the price and therefore control it. And one of the countries that has that power is Saudi Arabia. That's because they're able to produce more than 2 million barrels per day than they actually need. Now, the real question is, how is it that they can do that, but the US can't? That's because their oil is what's called nationalized, which means it's their governments that get to produce and make the profits from selling oil without any competition from their free market because they don't have one. The US oil is what's called privatized because it's private companies that produce the oil and make the profits, which means shareholders would never agree to spending more money today to build up excess inventory to suppress the price in the future. That doesn't make economic sense, nor does it make sense to try to pump the price because then a competitor would come along and offer their oil for cheaper. And that's exactly why, even though the US is the #1 producing country in the world when it comes to oil, it can't stabilize the price with the exception of using SPR. It's kind of like basic budgeting. It's not the person who makes the most amount of money, it's the person who gets to keep the most amount of money. That's exactly why some countries get to keep more of their oil than others. And that's where OPEC comes in. And this started a global game of chess because by 1961, 5 powerful oil-producing countries got together to create what's called OPEC, which stands for Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. And those countries were Iraq, Iran, Kuwait, Venezuela, and Saudi Arabia. Now, they added more and more countries to this list as time went on with the goal of stabilizing global oil prices. But you can think of OPEC for oil what De Beers was for the diamond industry, a cartel which artificially pumped the price of oil higher by suppressing the supply. Now, by 1971, Richard Nixon took the US dollar off the gold standard, and that meant the value of gold went way up and the value of the dollar went way down. And that really hurt OPEC because their governments were dependent on the value of the petrodollar because their oil was priced in dollars. Remember, it had to be after the Bretton Woods Agreement, which made them price their oil only in dollars. Now, this obviously upset OPEC, which is why by October 19, 1973, OPEC placed a ban hammer on the US and put what's called an oil embargo. And this meant that they would stop giving oil to the US, and as soon as the embargo happened, the price of oil doubled in almost a month. Inflation went way up, people started to lose their jobs, and the US went into a deep recession. Now, by 1974, even though the oil embargo was lifted, the price of oil in the US wouldn't actually start going down until about 10 years later. Remember, one of the ways to control oil prices is to have excess supply. That's why by December 1975, the US created what's called the SPR, the Strategic Petroleum Reserves, which was supposed to give the US access to roughly 90 days worth of oil in the case of an emergency or another oil embargo. That's why the SPR is so important today. And that's why, since about 1984, the SPR has never had lower than 450 million barrels of oil until just recently when we dipped below that level for the first time in 40 years. And the reason for that is because on March 31st of this year, the president announced a plan to release 1 million barrels of oil per day for the next 6 months, in addition to the 10 million barrels he just recently added. asked for. So this is very controversial, but that's how we got here. Now, the SPR is not the real reason why oil prices are going higher. Here is the debate on why this is actually happening. Here's the LE5 version. OPEC, along with 10 other oil-producing countries, which were led by Russia, got together to strategically cut the production of 2 million barrels of oil per day. This obviously really upset the US because now the US is accusing those countries of working together to manipulate prices, hurt elections, and of course to help Russia. Now, Saudi Arabia, one of the leaders of OPEC, basically responded by saying, "This is not about you. We're not trying to team up with anyone. We're just trying to get ahead of these interest rate increases, which is going to hurt the global economy and send it into a recession. If the US wants cheaper oil, they should build more refineries." And the US was like, Pikachu face. That's also why you might have heard of something called NOPEC, the No Oil Producing and Exporting Cartels Act, and this would give Congress the ability to sue OPEC for trying to monopolize oil prices. Now, the way they plan to do this is by changing something called the Sherman Antitrust Act of 1890, which was the same thing that was used to break up John Rockefeller's oil monopoly way back when. And this bill actually has support on both sides, but critics of this bill, which are mostly the oil and the energy companies, say it risks upsetting OPEC even more, and that could destabilize prices and make oil even more expensive. But the people who don't buy that argument say, you're just saying that because you don't want oil to exist in a free market, because that means it would be cheaper and therefore you get to make less money. Either way, that's the conversation, but the more important question is, how does this affect our portfolio? Here's a couple interesting things, because energy stocks this year have been the real winners because they directly benefit from higher cost of commodities like oil. Energy stocks like ExxonMobil, for example, have been crushing the stock market, up almost 60% year to date. Now, believe it or not, historically speaking, data shows that there is very little correlation between gas prices and the stock market and the global economy until now. There's a huge indirect link because remember, the Federal Reserve likes to base their interest rate decisions on inflation, or the CPI, the Consumer Price Index, which measures inflation. And when gas prices go up and they go higher, that means we get a higher CPI number, higher inflation, which means higher interest rates to fight said inflation. When that happens, the cost of mortgages and the cost of borrowing money goes up, and that means less money in consumer pockets to invest. And because higher gas prices means higher inflation for longer is why it gives the Fed more reason to raise rates at their next meeting on November 2nd. Now, normally, this kind of a correlation between oil prices and the stock market is not supposed to exist in a healthy economy where inflation's at 2%, but unfortunately for now, that's the reason. Now, there's a second reason why the stock market is falling, and that's because of the jobs report. Recently, the economy added 236,000 jobs, which normally is supposed to be a good thing. But right now, the stock market sees this as a bad thing because, again, it gives more reason to the Fed to raise rates because it sees the economy as being too hot and it needs to slow it down by raising those rates, which obviously hurts everyone. So those are the two reasons why the stock market is falling. And if you made it this far into the video, you're a nerd and I like you. Now let me give you my personal thoughts about everything that's going on. Just to preface, I'm not taking sides, so please don't hurt me, because this is a very politically charged problem. And depending on where you draw the line in the sand, you could point the finger at someone else. For example, right now, the Republicans blame the Democrats for using precious oil reserves as a virtue signal to keep oil prices down in order to get reelected. If the administration cared so much about going green and being sustainable, then why would they use the reserves at all? The election is not an emergency, and that's a fair point. Now, the Democrats blame the Republicans for living in the past and being harmful to the environment and prioritizing loose regulation for corporate profits and politicizing a problem that is technically bigger than the president. That's just the stuff we accuse each other of inside the US, but what if we thought about it outside the box on a global level? You could say that it's not the US's fault that OPEC is a greedy cartel that wants to artificially boost the price of oil to make themselves and their allies richer, but greed aside, a more compassionate point of view might be maybe rising interest rates does hurt their economy, and maybe they are preparing for a global recession. Now, another point of view might be, what if they're seeing arguing in the US in the elections as a sign of weakness, and they're taking advantage of an opportunity to challenge decades and decades of policy that allowed the US to remain a global power with the world reserve currency and the petrodollar. And that's why Saudi Arabia, China, and Russia are teaming up right now. A more tough love point of view might be, maybe we should accept responsibility in our role in this story and finally use this as an opportunity to become energy independent. Either way, I'm not saying that any of that is right. I'm just trying to say that this insanely complicated story has characters that are a lot more nuanced than good versus bad or left versus right like the internet likes to make it seem. So instead of looking at it from the lens of the political process, I look at it from the lens of money and control. Oil, for example, is a commodity that represents energy, which represents control. Those who have energy have control, and those who have money have power and control. And that has historically belonged in the hands of powerful corporations, which have used this resource to buy the political process and the votes necessary to keep themselves in power. And those in power have always voted to keep the status quo, even when it meant sacrificing the progress of becoming less dependent on the thing that enriched shareholders and made us money, but ended up becoming the thing that harmed us. Now, the obvious thing to have done was to become less dependent on oil way back in the 70s, but the progress has been slow and now it's catching up to us. So regardless of what you call it, whether it's bribing or lobbying, this is the kind of thing that happens not just in the US, but all over the world. And the political process for now is just a distraction of left versus right, because the real winners of this story are those who make money profiting from this resource. And if we want that to change, we need to find a way to make money from another resource, or find a way to get rid of money as a tool for political influence, aka get rid of lobbying. For now though, I think the American people have always wanted what's best for the US and for our future, and I don't even think we disagree on how to get there. It's just we're constantly distracted by the short-term political process and the elections, and I guess I don't know the right answer or what I'm really trying to say other than this was a complicated YouTube video, it's a complicated situation, and I hope the market picks up again, we print some tendies, have a good retirement, and all get along again.
Okay, so I hope that cleared up a few things with you guys. That open forum should not be on there. We are not, this is not an open forum today. Maybe that's why people are going crazy. All right, so some people were talking about gas prices again. I figured, what the hell? Let's throw that up there. Let's see. So mysteriously, it's kind of weird. So the price of gas has not changed since yesterday. It's only $3.88. It's only $3.88. But yesterday it was, oh my God, it's going. Oh wait, no, it's not going down. It was almost $4 a week ago. Yeah. I think we have some issues. Let's see. Here's people saying the Russian sanctions haven't hit yet. Well, unfortunately, the Russian sanctions have actually done more damage to the process, to the peace process than, yeah. I'm here to tell you, the Russians are not hurting for for the sale of their oil. They just sell it to China, and then China sells it to us for, I don't know, 10, 20 cents more a gallon, making money off us. Yeah, if you didn't know that's actually happened, you might want to take a look around. It's up to 4 in PA. Let's see here. About a new house. We can talk about alternate heating. I'm not. Hold on a second. What do we got here? We got this, the striking Viking. I like that. That's cool. I'm not ready for the cold weather. Bought a new house. Can we talk about alternative heating? Did you buy a house? Okay. First of all, did you buy a house with a fireplace? Because if you didn't, I'm very sorry for you. U.S. companies not selling in Russia, especially franchises, only hurt U.S. Very true. I don't know what your SC 3.24 is. I don't know. Candles are your friend. There you go. All it has is a propane furnace. Ugh. No bueno. Well, so here's the thing. There's a trade-off. So some years back, and we actually did a pretty detailed video on this. I want to say about a month ago, where it's a trade-off. So most modern homes built after like 1984, I think, don't have fireplaces in them. So like 70% of homes built don't have fireplaces in them. Okay. Why? Because we got all modern and technologically advanced and this and that. And yeah, that's all stuff that happened. So the trade-off to that is insulation has gotten a lot better. In fact, there's actually some places where there's a requirement that the house be airtight to a specific level, which will allow you to heat it with a smaller amount of energy. You know, this house is in 1985. Gotcha. Well, I don't know. Check your insulation. You got piles of insulation in your attic? If you do, you got a chance. What's up, Red Over? Semper Gummy. Sam, be ready. Stragglers get a freestanding wood burning stove with triple wall pipe. I was thinking about a propane fireplace or alternative propane hookup. I mean, you're gonna pay for that through the nose. You know what I'm saying? So it's not. Here's what I would recommend. If you're serious about this, then I would recommend you just installing your own propane heater. Because if that's your plan, then you're going to need something that is not going to be basically when propane burns, it actually creates moisture, but it also takes oxygen out of the atmosphere or the inside of the building, the inside of the structure. It eats oxygen and it feeds carbon monoxide. Let's see. I was fired for defending myself in a parking lot at work. Any thoughts? I don't want to be a dick, but go find a new job. And go work for people that don't freaking think that don't think masks are cool. That's what I would say. Got fired for defending yourself. You were attacked. Are you seriously telling me that there's cameras everywhere? There's no cameras that prove that you were defending yourself? You know, I found a lawyer. Well, good. That's great. Striking Viking, I did research on propane fireplaces. Most of them don't vent anymore. Yeah, a lot of them are like that. Like I said, you just got to be careful with it. This house was built. The frame of this house was built in 1805. It's been modernized. But the reality is that you're going to find older things. We actually have a propane wall unit, one of the old school ones, and you got to really watch it. You know, I don't know what to tell you, Barry. This isn't the format for that. I can sympathize with you, but like I said, go find a frickin' job where they don't think masks are cool, and you'll be okay. Mine is direct vent and runs with no electric, so I'm keeping it. Nice. BK, good to see you, man. Good to see you. Why is my... Oh, man, my thing is acting... What's the survey say? So, what do we got here? So, that survey that I asked, we got 19 votes out of it. 68% said yes. 32% no. The question was, will fuel prices get to $5 per gallon before November 7th? See, the people that are saying no, see, I know most of all the people, all right, guys, all the people on YouTube, they're pretty much adults. They're adults. You can ask them a question. You can tell them that their hat looks stupid, and they'll be like, okay. You know, they're not going to be triggered by that kind of crap. But anyway, so I know the 32% is like, well, you know, they'll never let it get that high, right? Because of the election, right? Yeah, and that's logical think. That's logical thing, you know. Oh, Doomsday. Hey, thank you. You decided to show up. The show ends in 2 minutes. Good job. Great job, man. I'm still mad at you for telling me my sandwich was ugly. You hurt my feeling, and the only feeling I have left after all these years of service is anger. You're still good, man. My sandwich was beautiful. Sniffle, sniffle. All right, let's see here. So, yeah, 70%. Oh, it's changed. 70% think that it's going to go up to $5. All right, let's see. What do we got here? We're going to go ahead, and I ran across this neat little article from October 6th. It kind of got just kind of hidden there, and as usual, you know I like to dig all the facts out for you. So, what do we got here? Check. Boom. It's armed and beltway-ish. More federal bureaucrats than U.S. Marines authorized to pack heat. No joke. So, a report issued last year, and this has nothing to do with the 87,000 IRS agents. A report issued last year by the watchdog group Open the Books, titled "The Militarization of U.S. Executive Agency," found that more than 200,000 federal bureaucrats now have been granted the authority to carry guns and make arrests. That's more than the 186,000 Americans serving the U.S. Marine Corps. That's a statistical fact. 103 executive agencies. 103 executive agencies. How many freaking agencies do we need? 103 executive agencies outside of the Department of Defense spent $2.7 billion on guns, ammunition, and military-style equipment between FY or fiscal year 2006 and 2019, adjusted for inflation. Nearly $1 billion was spent between fiscal year 2015 and 2019. And that's not the scary part. The scary part is that yet more than 100 executive agencies have armed investigators, and there doesn't appear to be any independent authority actively monitoring or tracking the use of force across the federal government. Good job, people who let this happen. Good job. Good job for just ignoring the world and saying, "Oh, this is cool, and we got to read it. We got to pass a bill to read it." Yeah, that's the best, you know. It's $8 in California for gas now. I believe it. I absolutely believe it. Our poll is changing as people add numbers to it. 73% now say yes, it will get to $5. It'll be interesting. And you know, I really wish, California, we could use you within our poll data. But let's face it, man, you guys, you guys live in a socialist state now, man. You guys are like worse than freaking Australia. Well, you're damn close to being as bad as Australia. It's really, really insane what is happening in California. And believe me, the sun and the weather are not worth what they put you guys through, you know. Let's see. Bitches Be Trippin' says, but I have to give a pint of blood, kidney, and my firstborn to buy a gun in Maryland. Absolutely true. Here's what I say. If that is absolutely... They make the process so hard that no one will go through with it. And then but the key thing you have to do is look at, before you decide to put in all that work to get a firearm in Maryland, I would look at the statistical approval rate for the permits. If it's extremely low, it's not even worth your time. And if owning a firearm is that important to you, then maybe it's time to move. Move down to Virginia. It's not bad here. We keep voting for these politicians. Robert, absolutely true. You know what I'm saying? I honestly believe that we need to come up with a plan to put the right people in the right places, and then and not use words like hold them accountable, but literally tell them, if you don't do your frickin' job, we are going to remove you. I won't say how, but you will be removed. You know, it's these politicians. They once they get elected and sworn in, you can't get rid of them, man. They're like parasites. Let's see here. Black Wolf Survival said something. What do we got here? I'm a believer if you have a source of wood, a wood stove is your best friend. Absolutely true. And you can get triple wall chimney pipe from, I guess this TSC is Tractor Supply, and do your own install on an exterior wall. Yeah, absolutely true. You can do that. And then, but he's agreeing with him. Miss Melody said, have you heard about the new cancel culture going after the thumbs up emoji? Talk about some flowers with hurt feelings. Yeah, see, here's the problem. It'll never work. And here's why. Because we'll just start doing this. Yeah, they'll really freak out if we start doing this. If we start going A-OK, if we start doing that, they'll really freak out. Wait, they don't want the thumbs down emoji now. Oh, they didn't want the thumbs down emoji forever. YouTube did that, and they didn't want people to. YouTube got rid of the thumbs down emoji. Okay, which is bull. You can actually put an app on your computer, and it gives you the data. It's like it never even got turned off. They got the thumbs down because the White House press briefings were like 80% thumbs down, like thousands of people watching it. And they were like 80% of them were thumbs down. So they had YouTube. Let's turn that off. But like I said, you could literally just put an app on your computer and in your browser, and it'll show all of the thumbs down things. Hold on a second here. I will go to let me pop open my old YouTube page here. I'm going to go to the old YouTubes real quick, and we're going to pick, oh, look, the morning brief's going on. How magical is that? Let's see how much everybody hates. No, I don't want to do that. I want to go to White House. We're going to go to the White House real quick here. And then press briefing by Secretary. Notify me. Oh, sure. Let's go ahead. I'm going to click on it. It hasn't even started yet. It's for 1:30, right? And it's got 14 up and 0 down. I'm going to be the first one to give it a 0 down. But we can go to the White House. And as a lot of people don't know about this, it's so ridiculous. Let's see here. Let's go to... They haven't been recording a lot of the press briefings because they've been so controversial. And this new press secretary, she's getting beaten more than any of the others. All right, so if you guys see that, 178 people. They have 2 million subscribers. Where are we at here? It doesn't say where. It's not giving me the numbers for views, which it should. I don't know why it's not giving me numbers for views. That's kind of odd. But of the people who viewed it, 178 were thumbs up and 1,600-ish were thumbs down. That's what they don't want you to see. It's still a real thing. It's real. It's there. You guys need to get that on your freaking apps. You need to tell all your friends about it. They've got no reason not to see if somebody is dissatisfied with a video. You know, to this date, I'm not joking, to this date, I have somebody who I have pissed off on YouTube. I don't know why. I don't know their deal. I don't know what I did to them because they don't have the balls to say one word to me. Okay? But to this date, about every 5 videos, I get 1 thumbs down. Like it's cool. And it could be like on how to make your baby happier, or like how to like cut a pumpkin into a jack-o'-lantern. It could be on the most joyous thing on the planet. It could be like, hey, you want to save $1,000 every day for the rest of your life? No problem. It could be that good, and I get a thumbs down. So I know it's just a troll who's pissed at me for whatever reason, and it is what it is, you know. You said his sandwich is ugly. Own it, Doomsday. That's the man. Good job. I did it. I said his sandwich was ugly. Deal with it. You want to fight about it? They're probably trash Democrat. Let's not say that because they can't handle the truth about anything. Yeah, Timothy, you know, it could be that. I don't know. It could, but I don't let it bother me. You know what I'm saying? If you were ever to go like look at my statistics on YouTube, it's like 99.9% thumbs up over like a 2-year period. You know, so this is not data that's going to affect me in any way, shape, or form. You know, it's interesting that people actually think, that small percentage of people in the world think that what happens here online really affects, you know, real people in the real world. Because real people in the real world be like, whatever, dude, you would never say that to my face in public. Guarantee it. Guarantee you would never say that shit to my face in public. Anyway, let's see here. We'll be talking about the trash, taking out the trash this November. I hope so. I truly hope so. All right, what else do we have? We've talked about the armed crazy people. All right, let's. I'm going to give you guys some more time today. It's 11 o'clock. I should technically turn this thing off, but I still have some coffee, and I have another video that I want you guys to watch that I've got queued up and ready to go. But I want to talk about this particular article that came out in Zero Hedge this morning. It's pretty significant, okay? So for the TikTok people, get your ass over to YouTube so you can actually see what I'm talking about. And it's Local Prepper, all one word. You're going to find me there. So this is the title of this article is "It's Global Government Re-Engineering." Austin Fitts warns the Fed's actions are 100% power politics. It's a war. All right. I was caught by the headlines, like, okay, this is clickbait. But then I started reading it, and it's like, there's some truth to what she's saying. All right. Good job, WV Pappy. So, Catherine Austin, she's the publisher of the Solari Report and a former Assistant Secretary of Housing under Bush 41 admin. She says, what is coming for the economy is pain and lots of it. And we're like, well, we've heard this before. But what she's saying is, if you look at the money being pumped out on climate change, on green energy, environmental, and all these things, and all these different new sorts of scams, it depends on how they inject money. It's either a major correction or it could turn into a bear market. If you guys don't know what that is, you might want to look it up. There's no way to tell because it's purely political. If you guys don't understand what's happening in the markets today, it's because the people who do this every day, who sell, buy, trade stocks, they don't know what's happening. They're confused. In fact, they're in the process of a massive sellout right now because they're like, we got to get out of this. We don't know what they're pulling strings, and I don't like it. That's what they're saying. Okay. Let's see. William says, I have a question. Why doesn't the United States put an embargo on these countries? Because the embargoes are not working. None of this stuff is working, and it's very difficult to. So let me see if I can break this down for you. If you're part an organ inside the human being, and you're the heart, okay, and the liver starts pulling some trash, and you're like, you're cut off, man. Well, you know what? You die. Everything is global now. It is all connected. You know, you think that the Federal Reserve is like this institution that's trying to make things better for us? No. Quote, I think we're going to keep rising interest rates. If you are the Federal Reserve, you are playing a global game. And what you have to do is protect the reserve currency status. You guys keep hearing about how the dollar's up, the dollar's strong, America! Well, when the dollar is strong, the euro is weak. The yen is weak. The won is weak. The peso is weak. And that affects those economies. They tried so hard to make everything so equal. They destroyed themselves because if you're the heart and your liver's messing up and you tell it we don't need you anymore, it'll tell you you're going down with me. It's that easy. The federal government cares about us. Shut up, Doomsday, you turd. What we do now is conservative. Funny, everything worked just fine under Trump. Yeah, I mean, there's some truth to that, Timothy. But, you know, this was something that was coming. And I think that, you know, fortunately, he was able to control what was happening. But there may be bigger powers. There may be some bigger powers that we're not aware of, okay? So just let that one set for a second. What we got? Constitutional Living. Checking in, local prepper. Just got to work and signed on to the YouTube. Wanted to say good morning. Well, good morning to you, too. I haven't seen you in a while. And Bob Pita, good morning. Let's see. Thomas Mullins, good to go. Math class starting. Have a good day. You too, man. Let's see here. But yeah, so there's this long conversation. She's basically saying that the Fed, the World Trade Organizations, the Bank of Insolvencies, the Bank of International Settlements, they're all members of this little cabal. And they're kind of pissed that America is making the dollar so strong that, it's making them bad. Wow. Yeah. Look. Lots of pain. Why don't you tell us the countries that are better? Better in what way, Mike? Better in what way? I'll be happy for you to give me a little bit of background on your question. Until then, I'll be moving on to another subject. Where we got here? Trump told us that everything is happening now was going to. That's true, Tim. That's a factual statement, but let's not make this about Trump. Let's not turn into freaking the opposite of, MSNBC Orange Man bad, okay? Let's stick to the prep and stuff. Let's stick to the stuff that's going to affect us. I bring this to your attention because we have to stay focused on doing the things that we can do. We cannot stay focused on things that don't affect us. The article itself was just about the former Assistant Secretary of Housing, okay? Basically talking about all these different little things that, it's a cabal. It's a cabal, So, let's see, BK, where Deanna says, had to leave, I'm back now. Hopefully I don't have to leave again. I know, I feel so lonely when you're not here, Deanna. Let's see, Maria, you can start from the beginning once the live ends. There you go. Maria, can you slide the red bar at the bottom to... Yes, you can actually do that. If you guys didn't know that on YouTube during live streams, you can actually drag it all the way back to the very beginning if you want to. Keep it up. You'll change your screen. I don't know if that's good or bad, Doug. Let's see. Oh, somebody typed something. Some comments were filtered to protect the community experience. That is no bueno, guys. You need to keep your stuff straight, okay? How did you survive? Big kid. Big kid. Instant screen change. Big kid. Don't know who you are. Don't care. Not an adult comment. This is an adult room. Let's stick to the truth, and it all affects us, and until we clean out the trash. There's some truth to that too, but let's also make it apolitical, Timothy. Last warning. Let's put it this way: you're where you would prefer to live. I'm happy right where I live here in Virginia right now. I've got property down in North Carolina, but I mean, either of these two states is pretty awesome. Let's see here. We're going to change that screen right there. And let's see. Okay, so let's talk briefly about how to prepare your household for a power outage. A lot of people don't really think about it, but I think that it's smart that we do it. And I've made the screen bigger for my old YouTube people so they can follow along. I'm going to make all the text even bigger. Hopefully it doesn't go crazy on me. And it's kind of, shout out North Carolina. Sorry, but it's all political. No, it's not. It's not, Timothy. That's what happens when that's all you think about. Take a step back, reevaluate your position, and then move forward with things that you can do something about instead of just complaining about the way things are. It solves no problems. That's my last bit of advice on that one. All right, let's see here. First thing they recommend is that you keep your non-perishables handy. And, yeah, oh, my God, that's like piles and piles and piles of cans, you know? But that's not what they're saying, okay? When it comes to the type of foods to keep handy, go for what's healthy and nourishing to your body. Some examples include protein-dense foods like peanut butter, canned meats, canned fruits, and nuts or trail mixes. In terms of storage, be sure to keep your non-perishables in a dry, cool place. If you happen to have any perishable foods that might still be good to consume, look into proper ways to store them. The reality is, yes, lots of Tabasco. Rick commented. That's true, man. If you're eating dehydrated food, some of them aren't great. The stuff that I sell is freaking awesome. If you want to buy it, links in my bio. Go to Trusted Products, slide down to My Patriot Supply, and check that out. You'll see what I'm talking about. Let's see here. Do we know for sure the policies Trump to increase our production? I don't know if could have. The production of what? That's the real question, Scott. What the production of what is my question back to you, so that we can answer that question possibly. Let's see here. That was for Doomsday. It's just hilarious. All right. Oh, okay. Oil. Okay. So do we know for sure the policies Trump used to increase our oil? Okay. I'm trying to think of a way to explain this. Policies have zero to do with it. It's action. Okay, policy is just a method. It's a piece of paper. It's a thought. It's not even a process. Okay? We were energy independent on January 20th, 2020. We were energy independent. We required nobody to give us anything. That's what independent means. So the quick answer to your yes, it's pretty simple. It's pretty simple. Okay, back on point. Let's see. Make your go-to bag. A lot of people don't do this. I know one person. I know the Pineapple's got one of these. Make your go-to bag. Not get out of town bag, not anything like that. Your go-to bag. The worst thing that could happen in experience a power outage and then finding yourself and everyone else scrambling to find something in the dark or cold. Making a go-to bag is probably one of the most important things you can do for yourself and your household. Everyone has specific needs, whether it's different clothes sizes to dietary restrictions. So keep in mind that when deciding on what is crucial to bring along, beyond just the individual needs, there are also the families. Example, phone charger, portable battery, medication and first aid kit, extra set of clothes for extreme weather, pillows and blankets, flashlights, and extra batteries. Any comfort item for your kids, water bottles, pet food and supplies, non-perishable snacks. So a go-to bag is something that you keep in your house, and it's like basically, the power went out. All right, so first thing we got to do is shut the kids up. We need some flashlights. Might need some snacks. We might need to start charging our phones. Instead of like scurrying around looking for all these things that are already in your house, they're just in this one specific location called the go-to bag. It's pretty smart. It's pretty smart. All right, let's see here. Boom, boom, boom. After an hour, TikTok guys, we should be like at 15K right now. Just an FYI, hint, hint. On the YouTube side, make sure that you did that one gesture of goodwill to beep, and I appreciate it. Hot sauce and salt and pepper. That's good. I love it, BK. How about guns and ammo so you can keep what you have from the people that will take it? I mean, technically, yeah. I mean, it's kind of more of a like the lights just went out. What do we do next? I don't think you're going to start hearing like 30 thugs kicking through your door going, hut, 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 hut. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that that's going to happen in a power outage situation. So for those who don't have them, that's a thought. That's a thought. Well, once again, this bag's the idea behind this little bag is that all those stupid little things that you know when the power goes out. That's all it is. After that, you've got your flashlight. You can go into your kitchen. You go into your bedroom. You can go do whatever you want to do. You've subdued the kids with sugary snacks and iPad battery chargers. You know what I'm saying? And then you kind of move on from there. That's the whole purpose of the bag. Richard says, finally made it. Water line going to water tank. Decided to give the walls a free shower. So that's my Monday. Yes, I got it fixed finally. Yeah. We had the chem lights for the kids. There you go, Doomsday. Love it, man. That's right. You saw me giving that shit out. I gave kids chem lights. Chem lights and super loud whistles while we're at prepper camp. I just started giving them away for free to all the kids. But yeah, Richard, storm rolled through here last night and just destroyed those those 10 by 10 outing tents that you can just like go bloop, and they're like 10 feet tall. I mean, like they're 10 by 10 square. The storm last night just decided to eat mine. So I was out there dealing with that first thing this morning. Let's see. If you lose power, 1 million people will die and be killed in the first week. If the U.S. loses power. I think that's a little dark. But, you know, I think that's a little dark, Timothy. That's a little dark. Yeah, there'll probably be some crazy shit. Timothy's talking about what would happen if the United States lost all of its power altogether. It would be a little dark. It'd be a little crazy. But 1 million people in the first week, we might be stretching there. Now in the second week, that might change the game. Yeah, but how many people will be eaten? Only the ones who show up here. I got a big barbecue grill. No, I'm not doing that shit. Shut up, Doomsday. Dark but true. No. You probably need to go read some more non-fiction books. Let's see here. What do we got? Let's go on to number 3. Stay informed. Whoop. With weather news reports from your region. While you may not be able to predict precisely, precisely when a power outage will strike, stay updated with the weather forecast in your region. Might be one of the closest things. Knowing where there is a storm on the way or whether there may be a high chance of blizzard, depending on where you live, is probably the most innovative ways to protect yourself. I think the best way you can do that is either with a NOAA radio or a ham radio that you can tune to a NOAA station to get all the reports. Those are the best bet. If you want to buy one, links in the bio. Go to my store and go to, I think it's electronics, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Let's see. How many people do you think are live just because of electricity? That's a subjective question. Timothy. I'm tiring of your questions, Timothy. Final warning. You're not saying any, you're not contributing to the conversation at all, Timothy. Don't know who you are, don't know how old you are, don't even know what your thoughts or mental stability is. All I'm saying is take a step back. Let's see here. Take advantage of surge protection in the home. That's an interesting one. When you experience a power outage, you lose access to a lot of your home's appliances. When the power comes back on, you would expect everything that went out to turn back on with it. Unfortunately, that's not the case. Power outages can damage your home's electrical systems and plug-in devices permanently. That's true. I see. Well, here we go. And now your screen just changed. Timothy, sorry, bro. If you want to be heard, find some other place that will listen to your babble. It's got nothing to do with the truth. You're just kind of dreaming in an apocalyptic wonderland. Let's see here. Keep your car's gas tanks full. I don't even have to read that one. That's just the way it is. I personally don't ever let my gas tank go below a quarter a tank. But I have reasons for that. Obviously, I have gas that I can use, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm not that far from town. I don't know. It's a situational thing. Prepare for specific medical needs. This is kind of important. We've talked about medicine a lot. As you guys know, I do sell different antibiotics for different companies. It's all completely legal, and it's all done per prescription and a doctor. So don't even get butthurt. What I will tell you is that people are concerned about not getting crucial medication that they need for a long period of time because doctors don't like to give out a lot of medication. The way you defeat this is by getting yourself on mail to you medications. The doctors don't have a choice at that point, and you can literally order 3 months supply of a medication from a mail-in scripting service that will work directly with your. It's basically an internet pharmacy. But it's not like in China or anything like that. But it's legitimate. So I recommend that people do that and make sure that you always have a good supply on hand of the medications that you need to survive. Matt, good to see you, man. Good to see you. Let's see here. I'm putting that on a t-shirt, Apocalypse Wonderland. You can have that one, man. I've TM'd too many things. My electric company changed all meters in the neighborhood my house is on is only 8 years old. Interesting. What do we got here? Solar generators. Why does the truth... Okay, we're not going to hear from that guy anymore. And let's see. I think we're good there. 3 minutes of oxygen, 3 days of water, 3 months of food before life-threatening. Don't need per. I guess you ran out of available text, Harper, but I think we get the gist. Let's see here. Yeah, Richard, sometimes that happens. BK, have some solar lights outside to use if your power goes out. Also super cheap at the Dollar Tree. Yep, absolutely tree. The $1.25 tree. Maria says, battery backups run for at least 15 minutes after power goes out. It helps on computer equipment, gives you time to save and shut down properly. Yeah, Maria, but they are a little expensive, so you guys know that. But Maria's absolutely right. If you have electronic gear that you are worried that could get zapped, I would definitely have a battery backup. That way it protects you from brownouts. It also has a superior surge protection. I'm actually looking at, we had talked about, it was like a week ago, we had talked about this propane generator that I found that was brand new. And just in doing research on it, it did not have a pure sine wave inverter on it. So it's like, okay, so that's why it's cheap. And that's why it's so powerful. So you can actually buy these devices. They're like surge protectors, but what they do is they clean up the electrical current so that it's closer to pure sine wave, and you just plug it in like an extension cord, and then you plug all your devices to it, and now your devices have more protection. So it's something I've been thinking about. Oh, we got it. Prepped and Prepared showed up. Good to go. Hey, how you doing, girl? Good to see you. Let's see. You think those new meters are for control later? There's no telling, Kate. There's no telling. Sometimes it's just so that they, the smart meters, we see them as a way to control, okay? But truth be told, they're not designed to really do that. They're designed to, if you stop paying your bill, to turn your power off and they never have to show up. They're designed to keep trucks off your property because they can read your meter like that electronically. They're designed to know if your power went out and know that you're in an affected area to help get your power back on faster. That's what they're really designed for. So maybe we just need to think about that before we go, oh my God, they're taking control of the power that they had control over all the time. Oh, today is definitely a Monday, man. What's up, Covey? Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Let's see, battery backups, we talked about that, yes, but they can also run the floor fan when it's hot and coffee pot. Yes, very true. They're very true. They can do that for a certain period of time because they are rated for a higher amperage. Yeah, that's great. That's great. Okay, so one of the other things that I wanted to do, I have another video for you guys. I'm going to play that for you. And then we'll talk a little bit after that. Then I think I'm going to shut it down. But I wanted you guys to see and hear this on the TikTok side. If you guys are not on the YouTubes, I recommend that you get over there because I'm going to play this video right now. And that's not the right button.
The Fed's been operating its monetary policy while looking in the rearview mirror because they keep creating inflation, right? Printing money, quantitative easing, whatever you want to call it. And they keep printing more and more money. And they look at the CPI. And as long as it's below 2% or some version of it, they think it's okay to keep printing money. Meanwhile, they're ignoring the road ahead. The problem is they're going to raise rates enough to crush the economy, but not enough to slow inflation. And in fact, as inflation gets worse, that's going to be another drag on the economy. And so what you've got to do, what I'm trying to tell you, is you got to get out of all of the bubble assets that were propped up by all the cheap money. Because even though money is cheap, it may be slightly less cheap for a while, and that's enough to collapse the bubble. But you can't just go to cash because inflation is very high and it's eroding away the value of your cash. There's no safety there. You can't buy bonds. Bonds are even worse than cash because it's cash in the future. But in the meanwhile, you're tying your cash up and inflation is eating it up. I think the balls are already in motion because, we had this big increase in consumer prices in 2021. Prices were up 7%, maybe a little bit more during 2021. That would be the highest rate, I think, since 1982-ish. But, if we still measured prices the way we measured them in 1982, we would have, reported about a 15% increase in consumer prices, which would make it worse than any individual year during the 1970s or 1980. So this was a horrible year of inflation, and I think this is, really the beginning of the end, because now the Fed can no longer justify 0% interest rates and quantitative easing. It needs to raise interest rates, and it's now talking about raising interest rates, and it may in fact raise them. We'll see. It may not just talk, it may actually do it. But the problem is even the rate hikes they're talking about are too small and too late to make a difference. Because the Fed is talking about raising interest rates. Well, we got 7% inflation. You can't raise rates 1 or 2%. Rates need to be higher than the rate of inflation if you want to slow the rate of inflation. So interest rates need to go, 10%. But of course, we can't even get near 10%. We can't even get to 5%. We have so much debt because of all the past money printing and all the stimulus of the Fed. They have created a situation where it's impossible to fight inflation, and so they won't do it. And that's going to be the seeds of the next crisis, because as the Fed is tightening up on its monetary policy to make it less loose, right? We're not going to have tight money. We're just going to have money that's less loose than it was before. The problem is less loose is not enough to sustain the asset bubbles, in a lot of these financial assets. So we get a crash, but it's not tight enough to actually bend the inflation curve. And so inflation is going to keep getting worse, even as the Fed is hiking rates supposedly to fight it. That's going to lead to stagflation. That's ultimately going to cause the Fed to reverse course and start easing again, even though inflation will be worse than when it started its tightening campaign. And somewhere along the way, the markets are going to wake up to this reality, and the dollar, or the bottom rather, is going to drop out of the dollar. And then we're going to have a currency crisis that will morph into a sovereign death crisis. And then it's all over. Then we have a real collapse, because then the Fed has to let interest rates go way up and everything comes crashing down in a much more spectacular way than 2008, except nobody gets bailed out. Everybody has to suffer the losses in their entirety, and they'll be much bigger. Or they don't have the guts to do that, and they just keep printing money anyway, and they print the dollar into oblivion, and we have hyperinflation, which of course would be even worse. So people have to go out of these risky momentum stocks into value. And what we're seeing is a massive shift out of U.S. growth stocks to international value stocks, stocks in Europe, stocks in Asia, basic businesses that have real earnings right now, that pay good dividends right now. That's where investors are hiding out. That's why you're seeing some of these stocks up 10, 20% on the year with no news, even as U.S. tech stocks are cratering and all the bubble stocks, including the cryptocurrencies. All that stuff is going down. You got to get into real assets. You got to get into value. You got to get out of paper, and you got to get out of U.S. paper in particular, because we've got the biggest inflation problem that we can't do anything about because we're so loaded up with debt. There's no way to fight inflation without collapsing the entire economy, because the whole economy is built on the foundation of these artificially low interest rates. But in order to fight inflation, you have to remove that foundation. And then if you do that, everything built on top of it comes crashing down. Most people, when you think about a stock market, you're thinking about the entire market, an index. I want to own businesses. I have to get out of cash, but I can't own, the momentum stocks. I can't own these, high-flying companies that don't have any earnings. And I can't buy cryptocurrencies, which have no value or no earnings. They went up along with everything else. I want to own something real. So I own businesses, tangible companies that have property, plant, equipment. What you want to do with inflation is recognize that the biggest losers are creditors, people who are owed money and are going to be paid that money in depreciated currency. So you don't want to be a creditor in U.S. dollars. So you don't want to own cash. You don't want to own bonds. You don't want to be in annuities, or you don't want cash value in an insurance policy. You've got to own real things. And that's why I'm buying all these foreign stocks, companies that pay very high dividends. I mean, I'm buying stocks some of them are trading for under 10 times earnings. Many of them pay dividend yields of 5 to 10%. I get that cash. I can spend it. If you're retired, you can use that cash to, finance your living. And as the dollar goes down, the value of those dividends will go up. And of course, the companies that I own, they're all raising their prices now. So they're going to be able to raise their prices. So they're going to have higher earnings, and they can pay me higher dividends. So those increasing dividends will keep pace with an increasing cost of living. But a lot of Americans who are in the U.S. stock market, they're collecting no dividends. They just have overpriced stocks that are falling. And if they have money in bonds, the low interest rates that they're earning are completely inadequate. They're being more than offset by inflation. If you're getting 2 or 3% interest and inflation is 7 or 10%, you're going backwards every year, and eventually you won't be able to afford to maintain your lifestyle, especially if you're retired. Bonds are riskier than stocks right now. I mean, It's unfortunate, because bonds are where you're supposed to go when you want to play it safe, because you're not taking the risk of the stock market. You're guaranteed to get your money back. The person who you loan the money to is committed to paying you back, and you know what your return's going to be because you have a fixed interest. interest. But the problem is anyone who buys bonds now in this environment is overpaying. The prices are inflated because of the Fed. So you're paying this ridiculously high price for an asset that barely throws off a yield. Interest rates eventually rise, the price of the bond collapses, but meanwhile inflation is destroying the value of the bonds, of the cash rather, that the bonds are going to pay you. Bonds are extremely risky. I mean, people talk about treasuries as risk-free return. I've been calling it return-free risk for years. Nothing's safe anymore thanks to the central bankers. So you have to look at degrees of risk. And to me, I think it's a lot less risky to be in foreign equities than U.S. bonds. I think it's a lot less risky to be in gold and silver than in U.S. dollars. One of the ways you know the stock is a good value, you look at the income. Just like when you look at a piece of property and you're looking for the cash flow, you're looking at what the rents are relative to cost of operating it. If I own a business, I want to know what my piece of the profits are. What am I going to get? What's my return on my investment? Forget about potential appreciation. I don't care about that. I mean, what if I never sell the stock? What is my return on owning this stock? And that return is the dividend. It can also be capital appreciation if the company has enough income to buy back stock and deliver some of my income in the form of capital gains. So you also look at the earnings, because most companies don't pay out all their earnings in dividends. So you still are, entitled to a share of the earnings of the company when you're a stockholder, even if those earnings aren't paid out in dividends. But you look at all these valuations and you determine if that's a good place for your money. Now, fortunately, there's a lot of good businesses around the world that we can own a piece of and preserve our wealth that way. But, all of these assets are going to get increasingly more expensive for Americans as the dollar loses value. So people have to act quickly while they can still afford to buy these stocks. The last decade was all about U.S. stock market. The U.S. stock market outperformed the rest of the world because the rest of the world's got value stocks and we've got hyped up momentum in tech stocks. And so the world wanted those stocks. They don't want them anymore. They're getting rid of those stocks. And that's also a big problem for the dollar because we were recycling our trade deficits because foreigners at one point took the dollars they earned selling us stuff and they bought our bonds. But then our bonds became so expensive, the yields were so low, they started buying our stocks. Well, now our stocks are really expensive. There's nothing that we have that they want. The dollar is going to collapse. But in the meantime, we're getting into these foreign stocks. They're the ones that are going to do really well in this decade. Nothing that worked in the last decade will work in this one. It's a totally different environment. This is stagflation. And the same thing with cryptocurrencies. If you bought Bitcoin, at the beginning of the last decade and rode it up for 10 years, you cleaned up, as well as a lot of these other cryptocurrencies. What's going to happen now is it's a rotation out of fool's gold into the real thing. So now it's time to take your profits in that Bitcoin that you bought a while ago, because this is the rotation. It's out of hype into value, and that includes out of cryptocurrencies into real money, into gold and silver. It's all about value, and it's about getting out of the dollar and protecting yourselves from a real economic crisis in the United States, because it's coming. We have delayed the day of reckoning for decades now. As a result, the problems are much bigger, so we have a lot more to reckon with. It is going to be a very, very difficult environment financially in the United States. Think about the 1970s, only way worse, much higher inflation, a much weaker economy, and we're starting from a much more vulnerable position. The political landscape is far scarier now. Socialism was not acceptable in the 1970s. Most people would not vote for socialism. Now people embrace socialism. Capitalism has never had a worse reputation, unfortunately, than it does right now. So it's a very dangerous time to be invested in America. And so you just need to do what you can. And I'm helping Americans because I care about the country and I care about my fellow Americans. I don't want them to go broke.
And there you go. Pretty deep dive. It is what it is, guys. All right, guys. So with that said, over there on the YouTube side, I appreciate you guys hanging out. Looks like there's 25 of you in here, which is super awesome for YouTube. I don't know what happened to YouTube, man. YouTube pretty much just died. But it is what it is. And I think, if you guys don't forget that I live stream. Man, I'm getting tired. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I normally give you 1 hour today, but I gave you an hour and a half today. Yeah, almost 20K likes. Nice, Harper Beam. I appreciate it. On the YouTube side, guys, I appreciate you hanging out. And as usual, you guys know how to find me on the inside in the Discord. So I'm going to push this button here, and we're going to go ahead and call it for the YouTube side. Thanks for watching, and I hope you decide to support the page. If you like what I'm doing, go ahead and hit the link below. If it didn't take you directly to it, you can just hit the support page. That's what it should look like. All you have to do is either hit the Patreon symbol or the join button. Doesn't matter. Just hit it and that'll get you started. It's $3 a month for 30-ish days of work from me. The price of a Starbucks coffee. So until the next time, stay safe, have a great day, and I'll see you when I see you. Bye-bye.